Welcome back to Swimming in the Deep. Today we're going to talk about oil change for a 2016 Toyota Highlander, my wife's car. This vehicle takes 0 W20 oil. That's where you fill it. The things that you'll need to safely chock your car. I've done this, and although it's on river rock, could be safer, of course, if it's not on river rock. Chock both wheels if you can. You'll need a jack to get some clearance probably up under your vehicle unless you've got another idea. That jack can go right there, right in the center. Give you some clearance, and then you want to put something under your tires just in case it falls, or some jack stands to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere so you're safe. There's the oil filter back there, and we'll show that in a moment. The other things that you'll need is obviously some 0 W20 oil. This is 5 quarts. I think it takes a little bit more than that, and I've got some left over in another jug. It's pretty good value. This oil is the same oil made by Warren Distribution. You can get that on Amazon.com. You can get it at Costco. You can get it at Walmart, all under their house brands. The other things you'll need for this Highlander is a 14mm socket for the plug. If I'm wrong on that, I'll update it in a moment. If I'm right, I'll leave it alone. You'll need this so it'll go up in this oil filter change tool. You'll need an oil filter change tool to grip a hold of the cartridge, because this is a cartridge based type. You'll need an oil filter. This oil filter is a very good value, and I'll tell you why it's an even better value. Of course, it's the Supertech Walmart brand that I'm showing there. But I'll tell you why, the other reason why it's a good value. Go to your local Walmart, do yourself a favor, find the K&N oil filter, find this oil filter, open it up side by side, look at it. They are identical in every way. I think the other one has a black washer and this one had a blue washer. That's the only thing different. So they're pumping these out of the same factory as the K&N. That's more than twice the price usually. It is a great value, and it's what I used recently. You'll also want to try to get a crush washer, because these crush washers are supposed to be for one-time use only. This goes in between the drain plug and the oil pan. So those are the tools that you'll need. It'll also be helpful to have a funnel for when you start pouring that oil in. We'll get to that in a little bit. Alright, I'll come back in a moment once I have everything laid out and the car up a bit. Okay, the other thing you'll obviously need is something to drain your oil in. These make for nice jugs. Those jugs over there, that white clear jug for windshield wiper fluid, makes a nice jug to pour it into to take it back to Walmart, because they recycle this free. They have to by law, I believe, in every area. So let's crawl under here and see what we got. Here's your oil pan. This is your main drain plug. The crush washer is behind it. Here's your oil cartridge or canister filter. There's 2 parts to this. If you watched my previous video on changing oil in the 2009 Camry, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. You can just take this whole thing off and it dumps out. But the design of this right here is to take this drain plug out of the center. And you can do that with the square part of your 3/8 socket. Put it in there, turn it first. But sometimes what happens is the whole assembly turns. So you may still not get to the result you want. But that's the concept. Take out this plug, and then a lot of times these oil filters come with a little tool to screw up in there to drain that. It releases the fluid a little better. It's a little plastic piece. Sometimes they don't come with that, but that's the concept. Sometimes it just gets really messy when you do these. So once you drain this first, which is what we're going to do, then we'll come back to this. So the next time I come back, I will have loosened this with my 14mm. with the drain pan under it. Indeed, that is a 14 millimeter, just like the Toyota Camry. I usually use a pair of gloves when I do this, but thanks to this COVID pandemic that we're 2 years into, nearly at the end, I hope, you can't get gloves except for like $20 a box. I'm using poor man's gloves made out of a grocery bag. Loosen that up, lefty-loosey, while you're looking at it. Lefty-loosey, right? Yeah, lefty-loosey, right. And then, it's going to pour out everywhere as soon as I turn another couple turns. So there we go. Nice, big catch oil pan. And no oil on my fingers is always a nice thing. I'll lay that plug right there. Making sure there's a stopper. See how that's bubbling up? We can solve that by pulling this plug right here to let air in our pan. Alright, next time I come back, it will have nearly drained, and we'll look at the cartridge. We're back. Oil's almost drained. I turned my pan so it would catch both the oil cartridge, and I loosened this, pre-loosened this. See that plug came loose? That's why you don't want to over tighten it either. Hand tighten it and then a quarter turn when you're putting it back together. So I'm going to loosen this up. Let's see if this flows out. If it doesn't flow out seamlessly, this is the plastic piece that comes with the oil filter. And you take that and you screw it up in there and it'll release the oil. See, it's threaded. I can take this. I can put it up in there with one hand, holding the other hand with the camera, and when I screw it in, it turns loose. And that's the way you're supposed to do that. My Camry video, I just got dang oil everywhere because I didn't know how the plug worked, but that's how that plug works. So both are draining. Oil's draining here. The main pan's draining back there. So what's our next steps? Is to put the drain plug back on with a new crush washer. Hand tighten it, then a quarter of a turn. And then we'll take our special oil filter wrench and put over the top of this, attach our socket to it, and we'll take it out lefty-loosey to get the cartridge out. Oil's just about finished draining. I rubbed my finger on the back of that drain plug and I noticed that the crush washer was still on it, so I knocked it off with my socket. But you may have to knock it off with a screwdriver or something carefully. You don't want two crush washers on. This is the new one. So I put the new crush washer on here. You see the edge of it? It's made out of aluminum. They also have a nylon one. I don't know which one's better. Use whatever's good for you. This is the aluminum one. You can buy these online, and I think I got these from Amazon. You can get them in the auto parts store too. So this is how this oil cartridge filter works. Your socket 3/8 will fit into that square hole. You can also put a big socket around that, I guess, if you want to, but I don't know, in the review some of these seem to break. That's another reason you don't want to over tighten this thing. See that slot right there? Matches up with that nub right there, and lefty-loosey. So I'll take this plastic thing off, and lefty-loosey. I'll take this plastic thing off, and then I'll loosen it up. Oil still draining back there on the back, but it stopped on the front. There's a little oil still in this canister. Now I loosen that up, of course, with a socket. Needed 2 hands to do that. Now I'm unscrewing it hand tight here. And go ahead and just take that off and let this fall right in the... Probably still going to be a mess. Not too bad because I used the poke this time. Just a little on my hand. You want to visually inspect up in there. Make sure there's no muck up in there or anything else. We'll come back in a moment and we'll talk about the gaskets you want to replace in the cartridge. Alright, here's your cartridge. You see that oil gasket there? The O-ring? That's the old one. And if I look down here at the plug, there's another O-ring right there. It's just pressed into place there with your fingers. See what that does when you screw that plastic piece up in there? It releases a spring-loaded valve, essentially. Pushes that up to let it drain. So you're not dealing with a full cup of oil there, 2 or 3 cups of oil. Alright, so your filter comes with gaskets. You want to take a little bit of oil and rub them around that gasket and then put them into place right there and right there. And when I come back, I will have done that. You don't want to gouge this with a screwdriver or anything. You want to get it out as carefully as possible. You don't want to gouge the aluminum. Okay, we've got the new gaskets on. We've got our plug. We're going to thread back in here. Once I get that back on the vehicle, I'll tighten it back up accordingly. But I'm ready to put this back in because that new gasket and that new gasket. And then I'm also ready to put the new crush washer and everything back on. Again, hand tighten all this and then 1/4 of a turn. That's all you need. Oh, I guess it almost goes without saying you need the new filter in here. These are not directional. I like putting the writing on the outside though. You put it in there and you press it down till it fits in there, just like it bottoms out there. Looks like that. Alright, we're all tightened back up here. I said hand tighten and then turn it 1/4 of a turn for that one. This thing bottoms out pretty quick, so you won't even get 1/4 of a turn after you hand tighten with the socket and everything. And then you want to tighten that back up too. And it'll bottom out quick too. You won't get 1/4 of a turn there. You just snug it up. You don't want to over tighten it. That's the whole point. Next time you see us, we'll be on top with the oil. So this is the V6. So in US measurements, 6.4 quarts is what she holds. And of course that's 5 quarts. 5 US quarts, not imperial quarts. And then I put another 1.4 out of that. So 6.4 quarts. And you might want to just put a hair under. Drive it for a few miles and check it again. Make sure you've got the right oil. And of course the dipstick's right here, so you can check your oil easily. It's between the 2 dots. Alright, we'll make sure we get that lid back on. Make sure we don't have any tools laying around. And that's how to change your oil in a 2016 V6 Camry and certain other models that are listed right down below in the notes. I'll also have in the notes tools that were used, so you want to take a look at those. Please leave a comment if you found this video helpful, and if you think that I could do anything better in the way that I did it, let me know that too kindly. Alright, thanks for watching my channel, Swimming in the Deep. Like, share, and subscribe. It makes a big difference. Thank you.